Welcome back to the Gaming Grounds channel. It's your boy Action Jack, and I appreciate for all my new subscribers, man. If you're new, please go check out some of my older content. If not, man, just kind of stick with me. Come and vibe with me on Twitter. And this is one of those subjects that you will kind of have a conversation with on Twitter, but it's kind of hard with characters. You know what I mean? With the character limit. So I kind of wanted to get it sparked and get my main idea here, and then maybe we can do the follow up over on the Twitter side. If not, in the comments right here on YouTube. So as you see, the title of the video is competition within gaming. I was thinking about this for a while now. Like we hear that a lot. Hey, we need this company to be present to give this company competition, or because this company wasn't present or didn't do their thing, then there was no competition, so therefore they became lackadaisical. So we always have a means of why a company did what a company decided to do, right? No, we don't ever take into the consideration of research and development. Actually looking at the marketing schemes, looking at if they did any surveys or anything in that nature. It was just because the other company that they're in competition with kind of push the hand a little bit, right? So I'm looking at this from a different perspective from what other people are thinking. I know the main consensus is yes, they're competing because they're under the same umbrella. You have Nintendo, you have Xbox, you have PlayStation, you have PC, right? But when you break it down even further than that, you get past the main genre of what they are and you start getting into the subgenres of what they properly represent and what they bring to the table. You start really asking, like, what are they competing in other than just sales? And even then, the means of how they're trying to sell has even changed when you start including Xbox, right? So let's get into it. So, looking at the main premise of consoles and them selling you hardware, they're selling you software. Sometimes they'll sell you accessories and things of that nature. If you look at it strictly from the hardware aspect, they're still in a way not competing. Because if you look at Xbox and you look at PlayStation, right? Yes, they go the power route, and yes, they try to give you the most bang for your buck, and you always come with a different style of controller, or even add some little tweaks here and there in regards to the controller. But even now, Microsoft and themselves are kind of giving you consoles, but at the same time telling you, hey, you can go PC or you can go mobile. You don't necessarily have to purchase a console with us. It'll be nice, but you don't have to because there's other means of playing our games outside of the physical form of a disc. You can digitally play our games on PC. You can digitally play our games on your mobile phone via xCloud or Game Pass, right? So in that instance, they're not really holding up as far as competition, and that trickles into sales, but we'll get into that. Now you look at it from a Nintendo front. Nintendo has specified a long time ago they kind of stop doing this competition thing and start doing this power struggle, but they've always kind of looked at their hardware in a different nature to where they rather you have a different play experience than the same play experience but with better graphics or better speeds or what have you, right? So they'll give you controllers like the Wiimote. They'll give you controllers like the Wii U gamepad. They'll give you stuff like the GameCube, the Nintendo 64 controller. You look at the Joy-Cons. They always try to find a way to give you a different way to play so it's still not in the same realm of competition of going for power or even going into the cloud and streaming aspect of things like Microsoft and Sony do respectively, right? So we get into PC, and that's a whole other beast. Most people are not buying a PC for gaming. They're buying a PC for a all-around purpose situation, myself included. I bought a PC strictly for me to do streaming. Then you start going into video content where you're actually making video content for podcasts, or if you're just doing a YouTube channel as a content creator. Um, Mine has trickled even more into the gaming aspect as well as music production. So it's an all around beast that can give you more, and but it's not the main selling point of a PC, right? They have gaming PCs the same way this is listed as a gaming chair, but let's keep it a buck. It's an office chair just with some fancy paint on it, and it's dubbed as a gaming chair to market towards the gaming crowd. So when you look at all four, they all aim for something different. Steam is your all around, not Steam, but PC is your all around platform. Nintendo is your I'm trying something new. Like I said, your wacky cousin, the one that's got you out here doing the most random stuff you never thought you ever do, the guy that's got you jumping off of a skyscraper, just to parachute down to the streets, right? PlayStation is the guy that you already know who he's coming with. You know he's not gonna switch up much, and if he does switch it up, you kind of see it coming. It's nothing too new, and is very familiar. And Xbox is now that friend that's trying to find future ventures for you to experience in different ways of life and everything else that they provide for you, whether it be in the form of gaming on a console, PC, or mobile in itself. So they all have differing aspects of what they bring to the table, and so that's why I mentioned within the hardware, I don't think they're competing in that regard. And well, the reason why I brought that up too is also when we talk about the Steam Deck, which I get deeper into on Sunday with the podcast, and people try to instantly make the comparison because they look alike. It was the same thing with Horizon and Zelda. Just because they have similarities doesn't mean they're competing. That handheld crowd is going to go with something comfortable, portable sized, as well as with the games and the battery power. When you look at something that's in the form of Steam Deck, yes, it has your PC games, but if I'm being honest, I'm not taking PC games or anything that big anywhere. Yes, it'll be cool to play your PC games in your living room, so you don't have to, carry around carrying around your PC, because if you have a desktop, that's what you have. But most people have laptops, so I don't know who it appeals for. But once again, it doesn't fall in either of these categories. Um, so then we get into the sales aspect of it, right? They're all looking for a different sales push. When you look at Nintendo is doing your typical sales push. Hell, we'll let you know about our first party, and we'll give you the sales as far as the first party, and that's what we're focused on because they're a gaming company. They make toys and other things of that nature, but they're not a big conglomerate as Microsoft and Sony and, let's say, Steam for this instance as far as the PC crowd goes, right? So they're talking about hard figures as number. PlayStation kind of does the same thing in a way, but Xbox, once again, they kind of deviated away from sales numbers because now they're looking for subscriptions to come their way, as far as, hey, these are our customers long term, opposed to here's our customers for this generation, and we have to find some way to get them back the next generation, right? And then once again, PC, a whole other category in itself, because it's not solely based on sales of gaming. It's based off of your everyday life. You have to work on your computer. You have to edit on your computer. You have to do communications on your computer. You can game on your computer. You can do a plethora of things on your computer. So it still does not fall into that category. And so in that essence, I still don't see the competition, especially when it comes down to Sony, to where the competition really held between them and Nintendo in Japan, but now it seems like they're dipping out in the favor of Western markets. So now we're looking at another change, another thing that we could take out as far as competition. We get into software, which is the biggest thing as far as changes. I see so many people say that, Xbox doesn't have games, Sony has great games, Nintendo has great games, but they don't have, the graphics and stuff that I want. So therefore, it's so they're not going to give it as credit. And then PC has is exclusive crowd, but it's more on your MMO, the whole DoD stuff and everything like that. But I mean, they have their exclusive shooters and stuff like that. It's just not as prominent as these three main home consoles, right? So when I hear this being a competition, Microsoft in itself right now doesn't make the games that Sony makes. Sony doesn't make the games that Microsoft makes. Sony doesn't make the games Nintendo make. Microsoft doesn't make the games that Nintendo make. So in that regard, where's the competition? They're not Nintendo's not going to push Sony in that competition front with the software if Sony doesn't make Nintendo type games. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to see a Last of Us type game on Nintendo, or coming from Nintendo rather. The same way you're not going to see a Splatoon type game or a Donkey Kong type game. And you can see something similar to Mario with an Astro and Sackboy, but even then they're kind of slowly deviating in their own way. So it all comes down to, how is this competition? There are no exclusives in the form of Gears on Nintendo or PlayStation. There's no exclusivity games that's close in regards to Sunset Overdrive on either of these consoles. So even though Sunset Overdrive is, I guess, no longer exclusive, it's on PlayStation side because Sony owns it in some kind of way, but it's one of those things of, it was exclusive for Xbox, right? And then Steam in itself, like yeah, we get some of those types of games over here, but once again, no one really includes PC in that conversation because it's its own separate beast, if you will. Like you're not buying a PC for its exclusive, you're buying it for its capabilities and emulators and possibly games coming over, coming from Xbox and PlayStation now for first party aspects of it. Same way people keep trying to push this narrative for Nintendo because they want to buy one platform, they don't want to have everything. So software wise, I don't get how they're pushing each other in the form of competition. The only way I could see any type of form of competition amongst all four of them, and like I said, just narrowing it down to Steam as far as PC goes, and not mentioning Origin or any of the other services that you can get. But the only way I see them presenting a competition to one another is markets as far as where you want your stuff to sell. But at that point in time, you have to understand your market because when we look at the UK crowd, it seems like they adore PlayStation. So I'm assuming they like the narrative driven games. You look at Japan, they love Nintendo. It used to be like even kill, but now it seems like it's gearing more towards Nintendo because Nintendo's going to give them something different, something wacky, something fun, something that's different, and also give them the hardware that goes alongside that. And then you look at Xbox to where it mainly wins here in America. It's about power, 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 power. And it used to be do bros, shoot 'em up, apocalyptic, shoot 'em up, all that other stuff. But they're changing, they're diversifying their genres, and I appreciate that with Xbox to the fullest. So maybe down the line, Xbox and Nintendo can kind of push one another as far as the types of games and what you can do with your games and how you go about playing them because they'll have certain genres to where now we have what Psychonauts 2 that's coming up. It's a platformer in an action adventure in a way, and maybe they could pick up some cues from a Mario game or a Donkey Kong game in the form of a platformer. Or if you look at Fable, to where that's a story driven RPG type of game. That's the type of game I can see Nintendo trying to go that route of having a main character that whatever decisions you make can determine good and evil in your powers and how people receive you and how people treat you, right? There's so many things that those two can pull from one another because Xbox is going that diverse route now. And that's why I look at Sony and it's just like third person camera, cinematic, kind of apocalyptic in a way sometimes, but they might switch up the tone, but they're gearing towards the Western crowd. And yes, they have other games in the form of Ratchet and Clank that fall on the platform that you can kind of put in the comparison with Mario, but from a fan of Ratchet and Clank, the way that the game plays out is very drawn out, is very monotonous, and it's very repetitive. And there's no, I guess you could say, there's no flair to it in a way. It's a great game. Don't get me wrong. Even with this game, this newest game, I haven't played it because I said I was gonna buy it, but I'm staying away from it because the main mechanic that could have given it its flair was kind of shallow. So it's one of those things to where I'm looking at Sony on a, well, they're going to ride high because of their clout, but I'm looking at competition here. I don't see either one of these companies, whether it be Steam, Nintendo, Xbox, or PlayStation, pushing one another because they're not even in the same subgenre. They're all within the same umbrella as far as gaming goes, but they're not even going in the same direction. You know what I'm saying? Like we're all on this earth and we all work, but we all have differing fields. Whether it's your HR fields, you're talking about your medical fields, your law fields, cosmetology, medicine, whatever. Like is you getting into different fields, but we're not competing. Someone doing law is not pushing me to better my craft in the human resources office or for me to better my craft as a content creator. You know what I'm saying? Or no one over on coding side as far as computer is going to give me a drive or a push or an initiative to do something better within my music. Like they don't talk to each other. They're under the same umbrella as far as fields and hobbies and things of that nature that you may do, but they don't compete. So even with these four being within the game genre, they still can go in differing directions and different roads. So that's why I always ask the question like, where's the competition that people keep speaking of? Like, there's okay for a console developer to get lackadaisical. We understand that happens. Hell, look at 2K and EA. A lot of people say, oh, well, they just need the competition, and that's correct. But it would be in the same field. It would be under the football umbrella. It would be under the basketball umbrella. Even though the bigger umbrella is sports, You don't see FIFA pushing 2K. You don't see Madden pushing 2K. There are three different sports there. There's soccer, football, and basketball. So I'm curious as to what people think. If they feel like I'm way off base, or if I'm dead on, spot on. Give me your opinions, man. Like, let me know where the competition lies with these companies. Because honestly, from my standpoint, the competition lies within the fans and them as companies. They're just doing what they're supposed to be doing in their own lane and trying to gain enough market share and market space to say, as a whole in gaming, we're dominating. But in essence, we're not following such and such. You know what I'm saying? Like Nintendo's not following Steam Deck. PlayStation is not following Xbox in a way, and Xbox is not necessarily following PlayStation. And I know it's like they're mentioning, oh, I like the controller and switch it up. Yeah, that's a little cosmetic stuff, but as far as a whole, Xbox is going their route as far as streaming goes and Game Pass. PlayStation is going, exclusive heavy. Even if we have to buy time exclusives, and we're going to provide that for you, and hopefully they do a little bit more with the DualSense controller. Like hopefully they start putting some muscle on these developers to start doing something with DualSense, because God knows no one uses HD Rumble for the most part. Like nobody. And this similar technology, I believe the same people made DualSense the same way that made HD Rumble. It's just I'm assuming that's up to date software within the PS5 controller, right? And then you look at Steam. Steam is its own beast. You know what I mean? Like there's none of these companies offer sales like Steam. No, none of these companies offer backwards compatibility like Steam. None of these companies offer the availability like Steam. It's just what it is. And then not to mention Xbox is in that front too, so you kind of get two birds with one stone. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, as far as competition, I want to know what you guys think. Do you really feel like this is a competition, or if it's just a fanboy war, or us speaking in the gaming community saying that they're competing because we're looking at numbers and they're under that bigger umbrella of gaming, but in essence they're off in different subgenres as far as where they're going in the crowd that they cater to. So let me know what y'all think. Like I said, in the comments of this channel. If not, over on Twitter, I'll be over there waiting, man. I'm always ready to respond, and I love the people I've met thus far. And also, I appreciate y'all pushing me up to these 60 subscribers, man. If we can get to 100, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, I mean, definitely give me your thoughts. It's been another video with your boy Action Jack. Peace.